Alaikum, brothers and sisters. My name is Bertram Grant. My Muslim name is Jibril. I'd like to tell you a little something about myself. I am a teacher by trade, and I feel that I have accomplished a lot in my profession. I have a master's degree. I have been licensed by the state of New York to teach English. I've done many things in the field in the last 15 years. The problem with me has always been that my life really lacked spirituality. My life really lacked meaning. That is, of course, until I accepted Islam. Before I continue about how my life was after I converted, I just want to tell you a little bit about my life in Jahiliyyah, my life before I converted to Islam. I smoked cigarettes. I smoked marijuana, I drank, I chased women. I did everything that I could to try to get pleasure. And to me, that was the meaning of life. The meaning of life was just to get pleasure. And I was happy with that because I associated with people who were basically on the same track, the same road that I was. But now, after I converted to Islam, much has changed in my life. Basically, my whole life has changed. The turning point was when I came to Saudi Arabia. I had received an offer to teach at the military compound in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah, to teach English to the troops. And many people told me, you know, Bertram, you're crazy. Don't go to Saudi Arabia. Because this was after 2001, 9/11, everyone was saying that bin Laden will get you and that, you know, I wouldn't come back. So I had my reservations about going to Saudi Arabia like any American would. But something kept telling me this was the thing for me to do. And I left despite the warnings of my family and my friends and my colleagues. But there was something inside that told me, you must do this. And it wasn't just the money, it was just something urged me to go. So I believe that the turning point was in May of 2002. That is when I first went to Saudi Arabia. I met a couple of brothers who had converted to Islam well before they had come to Saudi Arabia. They had converted to Islam in the United States. In the United States, in New York and in Boston, there is quite a number of African Americans who converted to Islam. A lot of African Americans, they convert to Islam. There were some brothers here in Saudi Arabia when I first came to Saudi Arabia in 2002 who inspired me to Islam, not because of the religion, but just by their actions. I saw two very upstanding brothers who regularly went to prayer, and 5 times a day. And I thought that was very interesting because I had done yoga and other sorts of meditations in the past and other sorts of religions that require a meditative, sound mind. And what I saw from these brothers was that they were quite serene, quite calm, quite tranquil. It seemed like what they were doing 5 times a day was equivalent or even much more profound than anyone who I had seen doing meditation. So I really wanted to learn more about what these brothers were doing. And mind you, these were brothers like myself, African Americans and people who I had played basketball with, and I'd sit down and talk and this sort of thing. So they weren't some guru or some long-bearded person who seemed like they had a great deal of wisdom. They just seemed like ordinary brothers. But the practice of doing salat 5 times a day really impressed me. So I asked them many questions about Islam, and all of the questions that I asked them were responded to in a way that someone from my academic background could relate to. I didn't want to hear something just about, oh, just trust in God and He will lead you. Whatever question I had, these brothers were able to answer them through analysis of the Quran, through practical ways, through the Sunnah, everything that they showed me in the Sunnah that the Prophet Muhammad did in his life, peace be upon him, I applied in my life slowly but surely, and it worked. These small little changes that I had made in my life based on the Sunnah were miraculously working. Before I came to Islam, I really had no religion. My mother is a Christian, a Catholic, a very religious and devout Catholic, and her understanding of religion, what I saw her doing, never resonated with me. I didn't feel that this was something that touched me in my soul. If sometimes she asked me to pray with her, sometimes she asked me to go to the church with her, but I only did it to please her. I didn't do it because I felt that this was something that I wanted to do. So I really didn't feel any sort of internal satisfaction from the religion of my mother, nor did I feel any internal satisfaction from the other religions that I had dabbled with. This Buddhism and Hinduism and yoga and Kundalini yoga. Everything that other people had introduced me to try to get enlightenment, to try to get spirituality, I tried, but it never worked. The only thing that worked for me actually was Islam. And Islam came to me through what I believe was through the guidance of Allah. I can't say anything else. So I believe that Allah was the main reason that I came to Islam. He had put his words through a couple of African-American brothers who I had met in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, who had exemplary behavior, who through Salat 5 times a day, never missed a prayer, showed me what real enlightenment was all about. When I accepted Islam, I told my mother about it. She was a little bit concerned because she felt that the reaction towards Muslims in the United States was a little bit, wouldn't be in my best interest. She respects Islam because she feels that those who study Islam or those who practice Islam are disciplined, are spiritual people. And since those who are Christians are people of the book, she was more comfortable with me being a Muslim than me being a Buddhist, let's say. So the reaction from my family was not as strong as some other converts who I had spoken to in the past about the negative reaction they had gotten from their families. My friends always knew that I was someone to test different waters. They knew that I had experimented with different sorts of religions in the past. What they didn't know, however, was that I had finally found something that I was comfortable with. For the most part, I would try something for a couple of months. I'd read some books, I'd go to some conventions, and I would try it. I would do some exercises, but then I'd move on to the next thing. The way I implement Islam in my life is very simple. I start with the Sunnah and the Hadith. I believe that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was an exemplary figure for Muslims to follow. I take small things from the Sunnah and I implement them in my life piece by piece. I do it through a gradual process, and Islam allows that. With Islam, I don't have to go to the extreme. I don't have to do everything at once. Putting the Sunnah in my life step by step allows me to grow in Islam at a pace that I'm comfortable with. One example is using a miswak. It's Sunnah, and it's something that keeps my mouth clean, keeps me hygienical, keeps my teeth white, and allows me to be confident with my smile. This is very simple. It also, using miswak, I don't use toothpaste that has fluoride in it and a lot of bad chemicals that are very bad for my body. That is just one small example. Another example of implementing the Sunnah in my life is by fasting. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, mentioned fasting on Mondays and on Thursdays. I try my best with this. And every month, every week, I make an attempt to fast on Monday and Thursdays. It's not always successful, but implementing this part of Islam in my life has helped me lose weight, has helped me become more disciplined, and has helped me to be able to control my senses. I believe that one can control his or her stomach. One can control many aspects, many negative aspects of their lives. Another way that I implement Islam in my life, piece by piece, and this again has to do with eating. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, mentioned that we should eat not to get full, but to eat that 1/3 of our stomach is filled with food. The other third is filled with water. The other third is filled with air. Of course, this is not an easy process. It's not an easy practice to implement in our lives every day. But I try. And it has helped me to become a much more disciplined person. Not just in my eating, but in everything that I do, I feel that I have more control. Another way in which I implement Islam in my life is that before I became a Muslim, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but because we're all Muslims and we understand how the dunya works, I think that you will be able to understand me. But I chased women. I found my pleasure in women, and to the point that I became a womanizer. I was never happy with it. However, because I was chasing pleasure, pleasure became my addiction. And I never really concerned myself with the women that I wasn't treating properly. So Islam helped me to control these passions that were totally out of control. And I no longer am in a position where I even think of doing this to women. The experience of Hajj, how can I say it in words? I think by talking about Hajj in words would be doing Hajj an injustice. But all I can say is that I really understand the humanity of Hajj. I understand what so many brothers and sisters have come back from Hajj saying, what an incredible experience it is, how joyous Hajj is, how a turning point it is in their lives. At Hajj, I have experienced brotherhood, like Malcolm X, who is one of my role models because he had many difficulties. He had tried different religions before, but he had finally come to Islam. When he went to Hajj, he had experienced sitting together with people of all nationalities, blacks, whites, Chinese, people of all nationalities, eating from the same plate, worshiping together, doing dua together. This is the experience that I have here at Hajj. And it is an experience that's constantly unfolding, and one that it's very difficult to put in words. But all I can say is that for someone coming from New York, and someone who has lived in the cities of the United States for all of his life, the experience of Hajj is totally diametrically opposed to an individual, isolated lifestyle. Here we learn how to live and communicate and cooperate with other brothers who have the same needs that we do, the same needs to use the bathroom, the same needs to eat. We must wait in line. We must cultivate patience. And by doing so, we feel more love for the brother because we see the oneness in that person. I think that Islam is the answer. Of course, Allah chooses who becomes Muslim and who doesn't. However, if we look at the lifestyle of many people in America, for example, who did the same things that I did over and over and over again without realizing the consequences of our actions, then we see that Islam, which is a religion that makes the consequences of our actions. My lifestyle in Islam is a lifestyle that gives me discipline. And discipline is one thing that I believe is lacking to the people who I grew up with, the people who I associate with, to, in general, people in the United States. I feel that praying 5 times a day is a discipline that helps me to put my life in order. It's orderly. It gives me a routine. I know that if I want to make Fajr prayer, that I must go to sleep early. I don't waste my time at night watching television late into the morning like I did before. I know that if I want to make these 5 prayers, which is an essential part of Islam, which is an essential part of my lifestyle, that I know that my life must be in order. My life is in order. I have routine. Things are much more organized now. Before, in Jahiliyyah, when I wasn't a Muslim, my life was scattered. My thoughts were scattered. If you came to my house, you would see it was a mess. But in Islam, Salat, which is the basis of Islam, the basis of the practice of Islam, my life has become orderly, and everything around it, based on Salat, based on Islam, shows that orderliness and that organization. So, I feel that for those who are thinking about Islam, or those who have heard about Islam, or those who are thinking about becoming Muslims, Islam will put order into your life. And not just the way you think. It has all types of meaning of order, down to your thoughts. Your thoughts become orderly. You begin to watch your thoughts. And when you watch your thoughts, you watch your action, you watch your deeds, because you know that all of your deeds, all your actions, all your thoughts have consequences. Of course, in the media, you will hear many myths and many stereotypes about Islam and about Muslims. You'd hear about terrorism, you'd hear about women who have no rights, and you'd hear about a lifestyle that is just not fun, not exciting. Becoming a Muslim now, I totally beg to differ. And I do so strongly because I was someone who actually shared those myths. I found that in Islam, first of all, I have lots of fun. I meet lots of people. I have 1 billion brothers and sisters around the world. And I feel that there's so much about Muslims, there's so much about Islam that allows one to enjoy himself or herself. The notion that Islam is a constricting religion is false. Islam is a religion that gives you discipline, and through that discipline you are able to appreciate more the finer things in life. You are able to appreciate the air that you breathe, the gifts that Allah gives you, your ability to get up in the morning. You appreciate more your children, your wife, because your mind is not scattered like it is on all types of obsessions and chasing your passions. So, in that regard, I believe that Islam, in contrary to popular belief that it's a religion that is constricting and doesn't allow you to have fun, quite the contrary. As far as extremism is concerned, this is an aspect of Islam that the media, for whatever reason, is trying to distort about Islam. It is not true. All of the brothers I have met in Islam since I have become a Muslim in the last 8 years, I have not met one brother with any extreme views whatsoever. Islam is a religion of tolerance. The extremism in Islam is something that the media, I believe, especially the Western media, uses to sell newspapers, to sell tickets to movies, to make things very sensational. Again, extremism, or the myth of extremism, is something that is spectacularism. It's something that sells newspapers, and it's something that sells tickets to movies, and just to keep you entertained. The reality is, if you want to learn more about Islam, you will know that Islam is a religion of peace. All you have to do is pick up a copy, a translation of the Quran, and you'll see that Islam, the religion of Islam, is a religion of peace. My message to you my Muslim brothers and sisters and my non-Muslim brothers and sisters is that Islam has changed my life. Me, I was always a doubter. Never believed in spirituality. I never believed in anything higher than my passions. I tried everything. I tried Christianity. I tried every religion that you can think of. But the only religion that had any staying power in my life is Islam. And Islam is able to do that because it's a religion not just of spirituality, but it's a religion of practicality. It's a religion of how to live our lives, how to live in communion with our brothers and sisters, with people who we know, people who we don't know. It's a religion of cooperation. I can go on and on about the benefits of Islam in one's life. But take it from me, a perennial non-disbeliever and a perennial liar and a perennial womanizer and someone who just pursued his passions and who believed that passion was life itself, that Islam can give you meaning. In short, Islam changes lives. It has changed my life for the better. And I can say that just like my hero when I was not a Muslim, Malcolm X, how he became a Muslim and how he expressed how Islam had changed his life from a thief, from a drug dealer, from a womanizer, into someone who submitted to Allah 5 times a day, someone who changed the lives of other people by his example. This is what Islam has done for me. And not only have I changed my life, but I believe that through my actions, my daily actions, through my good deeds, that I'm also helping to change the lives of other people, other non-Muslims. So, to you, my Muslim brothers and sisters, be firm in your Islam. Be a good example, not just to other Muslims, but to non-Muslims as well. Because we know that our religion, our way of life, what has been revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, by the angel Jibril, is the religion of life, is a religion that saves people from the hellfire. So I advise you to be firm in your Islam, as I said before, and to go out and be good examples to Muslims and non-Muslims alike. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.